solution? Well, it's grass. That's what it does. It stores carbon. So just imagine grass in the soil like a healthy place. It's a battery for carbon. So the grass pulls it out of the atmosphere and stores it in the ground. And I think the Savory Institute, or maybe it was Joel Salatin, said something about, if 1/3 of all arable lands were all farm ground in the world was turned back to grass, that we would go back to a carbon bank that was, pre-industrial revolution. So, I mean, that's the way we do it is, we operate that way and try to take care of the land because that's what feeds us. And there's people who have to realize you can't just throw all beef into the same category. Beef is healthy if you're eating the right beef, and
it can be good for the whole cycle if
it's good for everything
and that, things of that nature. But at the same time, it's a large beast that you're tackling. But you did mention a couple of things that did pique my interest, and I want to kind of circle back to them. One of those things that you'd mentioned was that you only had one option, other option to do with your cattle was to send them to the C word. How many cattle are we talking do y'all have on this ranch?
We run about 450 animals on our place there, and then we've got a giant lease that's just it's so cool. It's in the southern part of the state, down by Bear Oil, Wyoming. So it's a high desert, and it's so we run a bunch of cattle down there. It's pretty cool. There's wild horses and the whole shooting match down there, antelope and arrowheads. It's a lot of fun to go down there and gather, but. We're historically a cow-calf operation, and then are transitioning into, more of a, beef production program.
How long have y'all, I know, doesn't that, look at that pizza right there. And so how long have y'all been, doing this? So y'all have been in the business, y'all are third generation now, or y'all third?
Yeah, with my kids will be fourth generation. So we've been on the same piece of dirt since 1964.
Okay, so y'all started to kind of figure out, because you had mentioned, why would a young person want to stick around? Because, they had watched the folks before them fight,
I mean,
difficultly.
It
makes me wonder, will the kids be the next line? Will any of them love the cattle, want to be out there?
Yeah.
Is it like Yellowstone, some families are called to the land?
I mean, definitely, I can see it. We've got 3 little boys, 7, 9, and 11, and my wife. I didn't want to forget about her. I feel bad for her because there's a lot of testosterone in the house, and she's a little outnumbered. But yeah, I mean, they're all different, and I don't care. If they want to stick around on the ranch, that's great. If they want to go off and be the president of the United States, hey, man, let's do it.
Dude, would that not be the worst fucking job ever? Everybody hates you if you're the fucking president.
Yeah, I mean...
It would be the worst job.
Yeah, it would definitely be a challenge. It would be a challenge.
There are worse jobs, I guess. Mike Rowe did the show, I think I saw a video on y'all's Instagram with y'all shoving your arms up some cow's ass. So I'm sure that there could be worse jobs. I didn't mean.
Well, that doesn't. I can do that. That doesn't faze me. But a baby's diaper, dude. Well,
whoa, really?
I can't do that. But I can
Is there a distinct smell difference there? I have neither.
Yeah,
of those.
I think it's a mental thing. I can go out and get dipped in shit, but man, baby diapers. That's my kryptonite. Gets me every time.
I don't know if poo is my kryptonite on either way.
Well, it's green gold, it's just grass.
Yeah, I mean, all of them, it's just grass, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends over at Livewell, speaking of grass.
Yeah.
I want to give that, and Seed and Smith. Our friends, if you want to puff a good pen, I recommend getting a Seed and Smith. They won High Times Pen of the Year with the Dart. Check it out. Stores all over the place. And then Livewell. There's locations everywhere. Follow them online, Livewell Cannabis. Yeah. So back to the regular scheduled stuff. Okay. So you think that can you see it in one of their eyes? Like in Yellowstone, you could tell which ones are which ones?
Yeah. You can tell, some of them gravitate more towards, the
iPad.
My oldest one, man, he's just lives in books, loves to read. And he's
you got yourself a lawyer.
Yeah. I mean, that's with his brothers and the way they roll, that might come in handy at some point for sure. Lawyers are expensive. Yeah, each one of them's into their own thing. Our middle kid, he just loves animals, and he's very kind-hearted. He's like a little horse whisperer. He's an animal whisperer. Loves his kitties.
Classic Doolittles,
Yeah.
right?
And then our littlest one, he loves motors and he loves tractors and
So
speed
is this
trucks.
the one that flipped the four-wheeler?
Yep.
Or not the dune buggy or whatever the fuck it was. I
Yep.
guess it was like it looked kind of like a crawler, but I don't know.
It was a Honda Pilot. So
Oh, really? It looks like it had like wide out like wheels on the outside of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a Honda Pilot.
He flipped a van?
No, not a van. It was
Odyssey.
Yeah. So these things they're like an old school, like if you're cruising in the 90s, like that's the one that your buddies had that like you'd go over and rip.
That's the one I was.
Yeah,
I thought it looked like a Jeep of some sorts. I thought it was like one of those ones you'd go take like, camping under the desert or something.
Yeah, so we were down here on Thursday for the OR show, and my good friend Eric Duffy with Tenderbelly. I want to give a shout out to those guys. They make a great product. But he's like, hey, my kid is like outgrown this and is into cars. So he's like, come and get it. So I took it home and I pulled it out of the truck at like 9 a.m. on Friday or 9 a.m. on Saturday. And they ripped this thing around the place for, all day. There's no snow around my place that isn't packed down by this buggy. And it's a pretty good sized place. They put it through its paces. And then
it is a buggy. I'm not crazy.
Yeah. It's a dune buggy for sure.
Okay, I thought you said it was a Honda Odyssey at first.
No, it's a
I
two-seater.
Stupid there for a minute. I was like, time out. He just said buggy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, get back to the story.
It's a two-seater, and like you could hop in it. Like I got in it, and it'll take off. It'll go 45 miles an hour, like on a straight ship. Oh yeah, it'll get it. And so I wouldn't let the boys out on on the county road. And that morning, I was in the feed truck feeding, and they rolled up next to me, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, like, can we go?" I'm like, I was looking around. There's no traffic out there. I'm like, all right, you can, because I've got some bum calves up at the corral. I was like, go take care of your calves. You can drive it up instead of walk. It's like half a mile.
What's a bum calf?
Is it
kind of like when you cramp during sex?
Yeah. No. Well, I don't know about that. But
I thought that was a good joke. Can't believe that one didn't resonate. Yeah. For those that are lacking potassium, I know y'all got that joke.
It's that pinky toe stretch. So bum calf is a calf that doesn't have a mom. They were fall calves. So I sent them up there to take care of it, and I was loading, so I couldn't see the road, and I ran back in to grab a cup of coffee, and the boys are in the house, and my wife had just gotten out of the shower, and she was like walking by the window and looked out the window just in time to watch my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old roll the dune buggy. And so she was not stoked. But I figure,
I thought you were down in Denver when that happened, so at least you were at home, so the damage control was at least like directly correlated.
Well,
you could handle it.
People might think it's stupid or reckless or crazy, but in the end of the day, it's like, if you have kids, like you're raising people. So you need to teach them stuff. And if you're in the state of Wyoming, you're going to need to learn to drive and acclimate weather. So I figured, if you're going to, at some point, if you drive on icy roads, you're going to have to learn what it feels like to break free and then how to gain control of that. So I figure, why not learn in something with a roll cage and a 5-point harness? Learn the lesson now.
Good point. At least they're probably safer there than if they were in the back seat of the van or the Suburban.
It's better when they're like 16, doing 65. So
carving at 11.
Needless to say, the boys learned a pretty valuable lesson. So the Dooner is I parked it and took the keys out of it. So they're pissed that I wouldn't let them drive it while I'm down here for the next few days. But yeah,
that's not a bad punishment. We had a similar. We had 2 go-karts, and so we lived on like gravel roads. And we had a 2-seater and a 1-seater, and the 1-seater would obviously gallop. While the second one it wouldn't putter, but it would get you where you're trying to go. But it's more of like. It's like driving like an actual bus instead of like driving like a motorcycle or whatever, for a kid.
Yeah.
And so like we had our fair share of accidents in that thing.
That's how you learn shit, man.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was. Like we had buddies that fall off dirt bikes and they're like, you know what? I know how to turn.
I won't do that again.
Yeah.
Like gravel on a corner, slow her down, bud.
Yeah. That's a tough penalty to learn.
Yeah.
Skateboarding and skating was also a tough one.
Yeah. My younger brother, he was a skateboarder first, and then got into snowboarding, but he was always like broken, like always had this like nasty freaking swollen ankle or something. Just
like,
get back
could
out
never
there.
come back 100%. So y'all, 10 sleeps what, like a stone's throw from Jackson, huh?
It's like 4.5 hours. So,
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
it's
I didn't realize it was that
yeah,
far.
it's a pretty good punt. You know, back in the day when I was doing that, you know, I'm not sitting in the truck delivering anymore, but, you know, I'd roll through Jackson and then up through Yellowstone National Park. And I mean, dude, it was a 21-hour day by the time I, you know, got all the boxes dropped up. So,
I mean,
it's been a grind.
That leaves only like 6 hours for sleep. How many hours are 20?
There's 24 hours in the day, Kip.
Wow. It's all right. I'm not on military time. We're good.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we'll edit that
we just
out.
like nighttime is the right time, so.
It feels like time kind of stands still between that 2 and 4 hour from time to time. So I messed up on that one. I knew that. It throws me off with the 12s being in PM. Fuck.
You got it.
That may be the weed. Okay. All right. So yeah, that is long. So let's go over it a little bit. As someone that is, his hands are fairly soft. Let's talk about a day on the ranch. What does it entail? Like, do you get up with a fucking rooster?
I mean, it depends on the time of the year, you know. We're really from the land, and you know, it's so much of what what our days entail is, you know, basically dependent on the time of the year. So in the springtime, you know, you are up cracking it, you know, getting up early, you know, the ice is gone, the snow's finally melted away, so it's time to get water going and start irrigating. So we're out, you know, getting ready to, you know, grow some grass. And you're just like excited to do it because it's like,
it's been a while since you did it. It's kind of like football season.
It's go time, man. You've been waiting all winter, you know, in hibernation. It's time to burn a little fat off and get after it. But you know, the rad thing about ranches is that you never know what you're going to do. Like you just like,
there's always something to be done. Oh shit! I think May yelled in that question.
There's always something to be done. Like that's the thing about a ranch is you know, you can't be a perfectionist because it's never going to be perfect. Like you're dealing with dirt and, you know, weather and animals, and it's just, you know, it's kind of a circus out there. But there's just, you never, you know, you go to bed and you're like, this is what I'd like to get accomplished today, and sometimes you get that done, and sometimes it's, you know, you get the tractor stuck and it's 3 days before you can get to that. You know, you just never know. So every day is kind of an adventure, you know. But it's good.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
you know,
you're out in nature, man.
Playing with your hands a lot.
Yeah, you get to
shoving them in the ass of the cow on occasion.
I mean, if that's what floats your boat,
that's what calls for
it. Yeah, it's, you know, whatever.
So how many folks work on the ranch with you?
Right now, it's just myself and my right hand man who's been with me for 6 years, a guy by the name of Jasper Nichols.
Shout out Jasper.
Yeah, man, Jasper is if it wasn't for Jasper, like I'd have to be home, you know, slaving away. You know, I couldn't get out of here, get off the ranch to come and try to sell beef to change the tide of, you know, to try to make some money, because, you know, it's just,
there have been too much.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't be in two places at once because you have to take care of the work. You know, it's like the cows eat before you do. You know, if you have an animal, it's your responsibility to take care of those things. And if it, you know, so it's 20, you know, it's a 7-day-a-week job, and you just got to go into it knowing you're never going to be done. And so, you know, it can be rough, man. It can be challenging. That's for sure.
What do you do in the winters when how many cows do we have? Do they just chill in the snow, and then you just dump them some hay, or what's the process?
I mean, what we do
cash in the winter before slaughter?
Yeah, what's casual in winter is that it gets dark at 5:00. So
you can only do so much.
Yeah, you're out, you know, and in the summertime, you know, when it's dark till 9, like you get it. You know, you're 5:00 till 9:00, and this isn't just unique to us. It's like all ranchers.
Yeah. We're speaking generally.
Yeah, this is what people do. You know,
like 30% of the country used to do it on a regular basis.
I think it's like what are farmers and ranchers? 2% of Americans are in the agriculture these days.
Is it even that high? I would have thought it was less than that. Now I was thinking of how much it's dropped since, you know, the old days.
Oh, yeah.
Back on the Western Stock Show was just here, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, were y'all here now for that? No, y'all were here for a while. Yeah, I couldn't remember when y'all were just here. And I guess the Yeti tour was here too.
Yeah. We were here for last week for that OR show.
Yeah, go check that video out too. I can't remember what it's called, but we'll preface that later. But yeah, so like, like this, the industry's changed. This city was once a cow town, and now it's like a metropolis for techs, so it's like if you don't go to a STEM school or don't learn how to code, what's another job that can't be replaced by machines? And, one of those things may be, in fact, farming. So we may have to go back to it here sooner than later.
Yeah. I think the pendulum's swinging.